See, we have fun on the Wednesday show. The F stands for fun in Hard Lens Media.
That's right. Absolutely. We're having a great time, especially as all of these right-wing leaders are getting theirs.
Yes.
Right?
So,
okay, so guess
Kira,
what?
what's going on?
Guess what? I don't know if anybody knew, but we're proceeding with a, why am I forgetting the word? Impeachment inquiry with Donald Trump. Whoa!
Oh, boy.
Whoa! It's about frickin' time is all I have to say.
Yes, I have a little bit of a controversial opinion in regards towards this impeachment inquiry. Again,
Well, we've disagreed on this before.
Yes.
I'm a very staunch supporter of the impeachment, and I think it's coming way too late.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, why don't we at least get to the idea what's leading up to the inquiry first?
Well, okay. So, for those of you who have been living under a rock, President Trump basically had a conversation with the leader of the Ukraine, and I guess in a sense, blackmailed, held funds from the country in order to get dirt on Hunter Biden, who is Joe Biden's son. Supposedly, Joe Biden's son had some dealings with, and I am not finding the name of the company inside of the Ukraine, but basically digging up dirt on his dealings inside of that organization, and basically saying that Hunter Biden had some dealings in getting rid of a prosecutor that was supposedly prosecuting some sort of legal defense against this organization, which I would totally have all of that information specifically for you if I had had time to highlight my frickin' story today. So that's essentially what's going on, and the problem with that is that it's highly unconstitutional to ask another leader of another country to dig up dirt on an opponent in your upcoming election to help you beat him. So that'd be very, very, very similar to what he was accused of doing inside of this Russiagate situation that literally just folded.
Okay, so here's my take on this inquiry. It is an inquiry, and there's two ways it can happen. One, Nancy Pelosi just files an inquiry, and then that's it. Or she goes forward, but then the problem is going forward is, okay, you can get support in the House, but then there is the United States Senate, and I really doubt any of the Republican senators will go in favor of voting for an impeachment. And then also we have to take into account not only of the Democrats in the Senate as well, but there are Democratic senators that do vote Republican, like Dan Manchin, for example. And then we look also in the United States.
Joe Manchin?
Yeah. Joe Manchin, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're thinking Dan Lipinski.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you have in the United States House Dan Lipinski, who's a Democrat who votes. And
there are a lot of those kinds of Democrats because the Democratic Party sucks.
Yeah, and you have a lot of Democrats that do vote Republican. And the thing is that this could backfire for Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, because I fear that's going to take away much needed resources and time away from the presidential campaign. And I think the only way really to defeat President Donald Trump is to defeat him in an election. I think everyone hoping for a Hail Mary with an impeachment will lead to a disaster, and it could galvanize Trump. He could walk away from this, and he could get a much needed boost and momentum for his campaign going into the 2020 election cycle, and it could also motivate his supporters as well. And let's say Nancy Pelosi is also successful, well, then we get Mike Pence in office, and that guy is just as nuts. And when you have the people of the state of Indiana who get tired of their conservative governor, and mind you, Indiana is a conservative state, when they get tired of somebody who's just as conservative, it should give some warning bells of, well, you don't want Mike Pence in office either, because there's a lot of things wrong with him and his ability to lead a government and a country. And then the thing is, let's say Trump is impeached and, we get a new leader in the United States office of presidency. Trump isn't going to go away. The formula, the environment to make President Donald Trump will still be here. We still have a corrupt neoliberal system, and Trump is just the rash that's indicating that something's wrong with the body politics of America. Now,
So we should ignore our Constitution out of fear.
I'm not
is
saying
what you're saying.
I'm not saying ignore it. What I am saying is, if we are truly going to go forward with this, let us be prepared for this to go another way, horribly south. And I think it's not, for me, I really don't think it's worth the risk right now to divert attention away from the presidential campaign.
I think it's riskier to let a world leader run rampant and do whatever he likes and set a precedent that you can do whatever the hell you want. I think that's even more dangerous. Yeah, Daniel, what's up?
So it's interesting enough. Somehow I'm going to both disagree with both of you while simultaneously agreeing with both of you. So on Kira's point, I think, yeah, you don't want the Constitution to be trampled. You don't want to set precedents. But to Kit's point, they've already been set for the last 40 years. This is, I mean, are we really saying that a president doing something to a foreign country and getting them to do something that might be untoward is new? It's not. It's the history of the U.S. I mean, we've knocked over, 60 governments in 60 years. In terms of precedent, it's already been cemented in my mind. But to the point of impeachment, I wanted impeachment like 2 years ago, a year ago. What really happened, I just was arguing with someone on Facebook, lovely, of course, it was very productive.
I'm sure it was.
Right before the show, is that Nancy Pelosi botched this entire thing from the beginning because she didn't do it when he got in, when it was time to do it. I put a tweet out on this. He already violated emoluments clauses from day one. Why not get him on the thing that he's already done? Right.
He's got a co-conspirator in prison right now.
But the reason they don't.
This is crazy.
The reason they don't is they're all guilty of the exact same thing.
You're right.
And Hillary killed. They're all protecting themselves because if they really cared about the Constitution, he would have already been impeached under the emoluments. But he's on day one. But he's not, because they're also completely and utterly corrupt and would have to go to jail in turn because of precedent, because no one's being held to any of this. So I think that there's going to be a big hullabaloo. Trump's going to get off because they're not going to push forward because they will indict themselves, and we know that they won't do that. So you're right, Kira, he should be impeached, but it doesn't matter because the system's already so corrupt. To put him through that and to try and impeach him would open themselves up to that same crime. So they're not going to. It's for show. And to Kit's point, it's not going to go anywhere. And Trump's going to say, just like Russiagate, blah, blah, blah. And my biggest regret in this is that in a bunch of places, I've suddenly heard NPR talk about climate change for a week. That's going to stop. It's all going to go onto impeachment. The best that can come out of this is Biden, because we know there's stuff that Biden's son's done. Right. And if the best that can come out of this is that he gets asked that in the debate and it looks really, really bad when he can't answer it, that's the best case scenario. Yeah. And we're talking about Biden like he's going to win and not continue to decline.
But already he's falling in the polls. Look, I want to make it very clear because, again, look, Trump is a horrible president and a horrible individual. And the opportunity was there to impeach. Like, just going to repeat what Daniel said, what Paul has said as well. The opportunity was there, but we have a corrupt neoliberal, neoconservative system. And thanks to Citizens United and McCutcheon's decision, all our political leaders in Washington, D.C. are bought and sold by the same interests that also own Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, look, I'm just going to quote him from the first Republican primary debate that he was at. I give these people money, being the politicians, I give these people money and they do what I say. And look, Nancy Pelosi, the best thing that ever happened to the Democratic Party right now is that she is able to hold a lot of fundraisers basically saying that Trump is a threat to democracy. And I don't really trust Nancy Pelosi to be the leader on this or actually bring in change. Are there other leaders who could do a better job than Nancy Pelosi? Absolutely.
Well, but that bar's not very high, right?
She is not the champion to hold the banner, and I'll tell you why. Just to rewind back the clocks, when we were on radio, Nancy Pelosi was screaming from the rooftop saying that Trump is a threat, Trump is a threat, Trump is a threat to our securities and our national interests and to all the individual citizens. But then what does she do? She votes in favor of increasing the Securities Act, giving the Trump administration more powers to watch us while we're online and to observe us and to listen to us. So I know that everyone's excited about this, but we got to calm down and think with rational minds here. If you want to defeat Trump, it has to be on the election, because if this thing is botched, it's going to give his campaign a lot of momentum and energy. And when I hear someone like Representative Tulsi Gabbard say that impeachment will divide the country, I have to agree that she is on point, that yes, it will divide the country. It will galvanize Trump supporters.
Why are we talking about divisiveness in our country like it's a future thing?
Well, I know, but I mean, it'll make it even further. I mean,
how do we get further divided? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I just honestly think that if it just goes for an impeachment, it's just going to make things just a little bit worse.
Yeah, I disagree. All right.
Yeah, I mean that's how it is. I mean, look. Hey, look, we're not always going to agree on this show, but we still love each other.
No, we do love each other. We've always disagreed on this.
I know,
it's okay.
but look,
people disagree with me all the time.
But look, but here's the thing. But here's the thing. Here's the thing as a final note before we do move on, and that is, this can develop either way. You know, potentially there is a scenario where Trump gets impeached and he's gone. All right.
Yeah.
But
I don't even necessarily think that that's the best outcome of this. I just really see impeachment as an opportunity to say, like, first of all, slap a leader's hand and say, no, stop. But then also, you know, beyond that, I just forgot my point. Yeah, what's up, Paul?
Yeah, I just want to pile in on this too, because why not jump on the bandwagon?
All right, go ahead, Paul.
But yeah, no, I agree that legally the Constitution is Trump is in violation of the Constitution on multiple fronts. Has been from day one, we mentioned.
Right.
For the reasons we mentioned before, that he's not getting impeached, you know, because of, say, the Emoluments Clause violations. The fact that this is clearly being done in a way to protect Democrats who would also be guilty of those same things, but also every single Greta Thunberg video we've put up is demonetized. Don't you think that now is a decent time, when elections are coming around the corner, when climate strikes are happening every Friday, to start going, hey, we're going to impeach? Like, I don't think it's wrong. He's definitely in breach of the Constitution, but the process of impeachment takes a long time and takes a lot of attention. So while it legally is correct, strategically, I feel it may be a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know. Strategically, I also see a lot of independent voters and voters that might actually vote Democrat looking at the Democratic Party and say, no, those guys are weak. They're weak sauce. They're not in our court.
Then someone else.
They're not here to protect us against.
Well, then here's the thing. It can't be Nancy Pelosi leading the way. I just don't trust her leadership then.
Okay.
She is the last person to be leading anything in regards to this, especially with her track record of being one of the key leaders in the Democratic Party. Under her leadership, Democrats have lost more seats under her tenure. And
I totally hear that.
I would say, if you want someone who's going to be aggressive, hey, get AOC. She has a much more stronger mindset and is more consistent.
Can I add one more thing, just because I know we're going a little long on this segment? But Takira, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
So impeachment goes through. Right now, we know for a fact Nancy Pelosi will be the one leading it, right?
Yeah,
naturally.
regrettably.
So my question to you, Kira, is, do you think that Nancy Pelosi is going to treat this impeachment inquiry the way that you think it would be treated, or is she going to play it in a way that she will get the most out of it personally? Yeah,
well, and as Kit was talking, that was a little bit of what was coming into my imagination, is that I do think that Nancy Pelosi was very much pushed into this decision. She did not lead into this position. So there was a part of me that did believe that she would be doing a lot of this for show.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're doing something out of integrity, then nothing works. So.
And I think because there's one scenario that's came into my mind in regards to how this will, because I know we're going a little bit over, but this is something that we should really talk about, because it's not going to go away, and regrettably it could replace all this talk about climate change in this presidential race. Nancy Pelosi, when we were on the radio, she seemed very hesitant to even push forward or even humor the idea of impeachment of President Donald Trump. I think this is something she does not want to do, because there may not be much room for her to really do anything.
Without Donald Trump,
Yeah.
she is a shitty legislator
Absolutely.
that nobody
So-
likes.
And again, just remember, corporate media also benefits a lot from President Donald Trump because, to quote Les Moonves, right? He said, what Trump is saying is bad for America, but it's good for CBS. He was their big boost, their big shot in regards to getting more people to sit down and watch TV. And this is the best thing for corporate Democrats too, because they're able to fundraise off of them. So, I mean, this can go anyway, and this story's not going to go away. But I wish I wish there was a better. I don't know.
Let me say
I want there to
something.
be a different scenario.
Wish in one hand and
let me
shit in the
say
other, and
something
see which one
so.
fills up
quickly.
faster.
Yeah.
To just round out this segment, because we basically don't have any time.
Yeah.
That is, if Congress was filled like people like Kira or Kit, my entire opinion would shift. But no one on there is playing the law. Everyone's playing their own game. And in a situation where everyone doesn't care about the law, the people in power don't get punished when they commit crimes. You can't walking into an inquiry. It's like it's clashing because all of us want a situation where we say, yeah, of course, do the impeachment. It's obviously he's broken the law. He's obviously doing it, and he's guilty, and we got to do something about it. But it's America, and we're an empire in decline. So none of that matters in reality. It does in ideology and what America should be about, but are we going to impeach because of a reality that doesn't exist, working out in a way that it won't, with leadership that doesn't actually care because they were forced into it, that will end up in a show trial that will go nowhere, that will cause Trump to be able to say, it's just like Russiagate, and then he will get, 2 or 3% more turnout?
Yeah.
And then to the point that the Democrats will look even weaker.
Yeah.
I think that if the question is...
Well, I think the Democrats look weak if they don't do anything. And if they do it for show, they'll look ridiculous.
Yeah. So then they really got to put everything in on this to make it happen. But
Gotta give it the full ass, and they're not.
They're not. And I think I think with Nancy Pelosi leading it, yeah, she could secure the House, but it's not going to secure the Senate. I don't believe Chuck Schumer has what it takes to even secure the United States
Really?
Senate, because that
You don't think Shoomy Shoes got what it takes?
I wish I had my glasses. I'd be like
On the tip of your nose.
it's in my nose. Yeah, no, good old Chucky Boy Schumer. Chucky Boy Schumer does not have what it takes, and this can go either way. And unfortunately, this is the situation that we have when we have a corrupt system. So. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, and I wanted to end the segment on two notes. One, the transcripts from the call were released today.
Not all of them were fully it's not fully available. I saw another update in regards to that story.
Okay.
So it's like they're available, but not.
I read the
full
conversation.
entirety.
It sounds like the most boring conversation on the planet. And
Yeah, well, just imagine talking to Trump. I mean, think about what
it's really
what
rough.
that's like.
I was like falling asleep on the train while reading it. And then the other piece that I actually didn't get to research, but our audience is a very active audience and a very educated audience. So y'all probably even know this answer. I know that there's someone running against Nancy Pelosi. You should go check that person out.
Actually, we are in the process of interviewing
Really?
Sean Butler.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks to Wesley Wiles for introducing him to us. We are in the process of setting up that interview very soon. So Wesley, if you're watching, just give them a gentle reminder that we are more than willing to interview the challenger to Nancy Pelosi.
That would
her
be
seat.
great.
So
that would be great.
Yeah,
Get her out of there.
I think that'd be great. Not only would it be great, it could show that any neoliberal Democrat can be beaten.
Yeah.
And that would be the political shot heard around the world.
It would be lovely.
Yeah. So we'll see.